Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just want to thank all my subscribers for the tremendous amount of support you guys have been sending my way. I really super appreciate it. So let's jump right into this set. I'm doing a medium length basic nude set with some cow print tips, and as you can see, I'm gently pushing back the cuticles and being careful not to force that dead skin to move. If the cuticle area is difficult to push, you can always use a diamond cuticle bit to remove it. Next, I'm going to be removing a shine with the fine grit sanding band, and my drill is always set to the lowest speed when I'm doing this. It's really important to not overfile because you will remove more than just the shine, and it will cause burning or injury to a client. So just always be careful. And after that, we are going to move on to applying tips. Okay, y'all, now it's time to glue our tips on. When doing this, you always want to make sure your tip fits from sidewall to sidewall. If one tip is too big and the other is too small, always go with the bigger tip because you can use your hand file to file down the sides, or you can use the scissors to cut them down before you glue them on. After we do this, we're going to move on to cutting the length and shaping them into whatever the client wants them. So as you all can see, I am just cutting the nail tips to the desired length that the client wants. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to use a 100 hand file and file them into the shape that the client wants, which would be kind of a coffin square type of shape that she requested. The file that I have is from Sally Beauty, and it's 100. So another thing about shaping I want to let you all know is that I start a little bit on the underside of the tip, and then I slowly work my way against that side wall of the tip, and that's really how I achieve my crispy shape that I'm going for. So here I am just blending in my tips with a natural nail. My drill is still set to the lowest setting, and I am going to be removing the dust with a manicure brush with a little bit of alcohol. I wasn't in frame when I did that, y'all, so I couldn't put it in the video, but yeah, that's what I did. So for primer, I am using my Mia Secret primer. Usually if I don't use alcohol, I will use the Mia Secret dehydrated before I go in with primer, but I already used alcohol, so that extra oil and stuff is already removed, so I just went in with my primer. Now we are ready for application. So I kept my application in real time for you all just because I know that it's really hard for me to explain it because I just do it at this point. But so for my pinky nail, when I'm laying the acrylic, I tend to always pick up either too much or not enough. So you'll see me setting the acrylic down and manipulating it from the middle of the nail to the tip, and it's too thin, so I'm going back in and adding more. I always make sure my beads are medium to dry because it helps me move my acrylic exactly where it needs to be, and it'll stay there until I move it. For my cuticle area, I like to have my bead completely to almost dry so that I don't flood the cuticle area. Flooding causes lifting, and lifting causes water and oils and dirt and bacteria to grow, and it will eventually create a fungus, and not to mention your client will be upset because they have to come back and get it fixed, and that's not something that I want to do or that my client wants to do. So I always keep my client's finger facing, well, a little bit downward, so that when I'm pushing that acrylic up toward the cuticle, it naturally falls back down and it doesn't flood. So yeah, I just always be careful when I'm applying acrylic to the cuticle area. Also, guys, I don't always use 2 beads to build the nails. Sometimes it does take me 3 or 4 depending on length and apex and all that other stuff. These are medium length, so 2 to 3 beads is usually what I use when I'm doing nails this length. Also, when I'm building the nail, I'm always pushing my acrylic in on the side to keep the shape intact. Notice I said pushing, not wiping. Wiping something means to remove it. I'm not trying to remove any acrylic, so therefore I push it where it needs to go. Once it gets down to the tip, I take off the excess and I wipe my brush, damp it, and then I gently swipe my brush down the whole entire nail to make sure there are no lumps, no bumps, and the acrylic is evenly distributed. I feel like that's important because it saves so much time with filing and drilling. And believe it or not, it used to take me like 3 or 4 hours to lay acrylic, y'all. Now it takes me like 30 minutes to lay acrylic on both hands. That's because I focus so hard on foundation and application and figuring out what helps me do what I need to do. Another thing that I pay attention to is the angles of the nail. As you can see, I'm always rotating the nail. I'm always making sure that there are no lumps and no bumps and no unevenness to the acrylic. So with that being said, practice really does make perfect. So if you're a beginner, please keep going, keep practicing, and don't give up, okay? Now that the acrylic is laid and set, I redefine the shape and I file, still using my same 100 grit file. I'm always making sure to pull the client's skin away from the sidewalls where I'm placing my file, because if you don't, there's a chance that you will cut them, and that's like, embarrassing and just a not good situation. So I keep my file directly against the side of the nail when I'm filing, and I angle it downward toward the tip, if that makes sense. First, I underfile it just a little, and then I work my way directly to the side of the nail until I get a crispy, redefined shape. It's really hard, like, at this point to explain it, because at this point, like I said, I just do it. But just know that you need a firm grip on that file, and you have to use a firm amount of pressure and go back and forth absolutely straight every single time. And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So like if I spend 3 seconds on the left, I know I have to spend 3 seconds filing on the right. This is why I use 100 grit, because it's not easy to overfile and fix small imperfections quickly, versus if I use the 80/80 grit, my chances of having one side lean more than the other are higher, because it's coarse and it's easier to overfile. Once I am done filing it back into shape, I use a fine sanding band to go over the top of the nails, because again, I don't want to take off that much acrylic than what's needed. So a sanding band gives me time to take off what's needed without messing it up and whatnot. I also go around the cuticle areas with it. This is where foundation and application plays a huge role, because not only did I not flood my cuticle, I also didn't make the nails too thick or with a lot of bumps and lumps that I needed to smooth out. So my sanding band will clean up anything that's left over with absolutely no problem. Versus if I did have flooding, I would use a medium or coarse bit to remove acrylic around the cuticles, as well as smooth out any lumps or bumps or whatever the case may be. Okay, so this next part is really important when you're about to do some nail art. The nail has to be really, really smooth in order for your paint to go on there flawlessly. So I'm just buffing out the nail and making sure that I am taking out any scratches or any last minute imperfections that may still be on there. And I'm using a very, very firm grip to remove those scratches. Like, the last thing you want is for your nail art to go all scratchy, and then it's just looking not, neat and stuff. So yeah, I'm just going in with my buffer and I'm making sure that I'm smoothing the nail out as much as possible. Yeah, y'all, I wasn't in frame for the first part of the white polish, but I did catch the thumb, so we gonna make it work. Basically, what I did was polish the tips in a smile line type of way. It doesn't need to be perfect because I'm gonna clean it up before curing it anyway. And I'm just using a regular gel white polish. Some people do this with like gel paints and stuff, but I prefer polish because it's quicker. I already know, I'm familiar with how to use it and stuff, so that's what works for me, and the client didn't mind, so that's what I did. As you can see, I'm taking my cleanup brush and some alcohol, and I'm going around the smile line and cleaning it up a little bit more for this part. The design doesn't need to be super clean or nothing like that because the pink smile line still has to go on after this, and that's the part that really does matter. After cleaning up the white, I cured it for 30 to 60 seconds, and then I'm gonna go in with my liner brush for that pink smile line. Now we're ready for our pink smile line. Now this is the part that actually does matter, because even though we're going to be cleaning this up, it still has to go, you know, in some coordination with the white. So try to be as neat as possible. That way you really don't have to clean up as much, okay? After I cleaned up the pink smile line, I cured it for 30 to 60 seconds, and now I'm just going to go in with my dotting tool and put that cow print on there. So I didn't really have no coordination to this. I just took my dotting tool and I literally just placed some random black cow print spots in random places. So after I finished placing those black cow print spots, I fully cured the nails for the whole 60 to 120 seconds until it was completely dry. Now we are ready for some top coats. The top coat that I'm using is the Kiara Sky Rub On top coat. It's like in a pink and white bottle. It's the non-white top coat, so that's what I'm using, and stay tuned for the final look. Just so you all know, all products that I use for this video will be in the description box. So if you want to know what and where I got it from, it will be down in the description box. This is the final look. Let me know in the comment section what you all think, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you all in the next video.